that the classification of some specimens as either therapsid or sphenacodont is highly debated. This is a level of detail more approximating our ideal full pedigree situation, and gives us a rare glimpse at incipient lineage formation, where taxonomic categories lose the power they, by definition, derive from hindsight. Therapsids did not evolve endothermic abilities directly. There's no immediate environmental pressure that can select for the nebulous feature that is endothermy as a whole. Rather, therapsids are distinguished from other synapsids by an array of key characters that are all correlated with each other. All these characters have evolved in parallel, with the result being homeostatic regulation via increased metabolism. This kind of evolutionary process is termed correlated progression. These changes seem to have been initially driven by simple adaptations for better carnivorous hunting efficiency, such as organized incisors that fit well against each other and long canines for a more effective bite. Structural adjustments also allowed improved jaw stabilization and musculature for greater bite forces. These included a reduction of the quadrate, a jaw joint bone, to expose more areas of the squamosal and brain case for the attachment of facial muscles. Being more efficient at obtaining food naturally leads to having more energy reserves, which in turn allows for increased metabolic function, and all the advantages a more energetic lifestyle provides, such as even better hunting and escape abilities. This would have, in parallel, put selective pressure on other adaptations for more efficient metabolism. One of these adaptations is the ability to eat and breathe at the same time. Being able to eat while breathing is something we take very much for granted, so you may be surprised to learn that many animals can't do this. As mammals, we have a skull structure that separates our nasal cavity from our oral cavity. That structure is the secondary palate. But most tetrapods have a nasal cavity that is continuous with the oral cavity, with no secondary palate separating them. This means that respiration is impeded during the ingestion of food. In early therapsids, we see the beginnings of a secondary palate forming through the extension of the maxillary and palatine bones. This has effectively pushed the internal opening of the nostrils back farther in the upper jaw. In therapsids, we also observe adjustments in the skeleton and skeletal musculature to allow a wider range of motion in the joints, and more energetic movement in an erect posture. This contrasts the sprawling posture and lateral movement pattern of early synapsids, amphibians, and many living sauropsids. The lateral gait is in fact a remnant of the swimming motion of fishes. The contrasting movement pattern of the mammalian erect gait is probably best exemplified by cetaceans, who swim by undulating their bodies up and down, not side to side like a fish. This change in stance may also have aided lung ventilation, encouraged the evolution of increased lung volume, and the development of diaphragm muscles, all features that enhance metabolic efficiency. Finally, we also see important changes in the bone structure of therapsids. Pelycosaurs generally have poorly vascularized bone, like many ancestral tetrapod groups, and a slow bone growth pattern. In therapsids, including mammalian descendants, we see a highly vascularized fibrolamellar pattern that indicates rapid bone growth, a clue that therapsid development was very different from their closest pelycosaur relatives. All of these adaptations together that improve energetic efficiency via higher rates of resource utilization effectively feed back on each other in an evolutionary cycle that ultimately results in greater capacity for an endothermic lifestyle, where metabolism is used to regulate internal temperature. The advantages provided by an endothermic lifestyle are many and include the ability to capitalize on wider geographic and temporal ranges, complex internal physiology, greater aerobic capacity, and increased juvenile provisioning and growth rate. That we observe all of these important changes incrementally in each evolutionary grade represented by fossils from the pelycosaurs through late therapsids reflect the organism operating as an integrated whole, far removed from the mechanical concept often associated with evolution. What's more, the evolution of other characters that are unobservable in most fossils can also be safely implied. A skeleton, skull, and bones like these mean that this animal had a higher metabolism, and so could use that metabolism to help regulate its internal body temperature.